In this episode, I review 7 websites of the day and I share with you which one is the
website of the week.
Hello, I'm your host Casino from Casino.com. I'm the Digital Alchemist, and in this episode, I'm going to review 7 websites of the day of week 37 of 2020. Now, I will share with you the one I prefer, but before I do that, I encourage you to watch the video, and then before I tell you which one I prefer, just pause the video and share which one you prefer and why. Now, as usual, the review is my own subjective view. You are, of course, entitled to your own opinion. So, are you ready?
Let's dive in.
Okay, so this is week 37 of 2020, and as a reminder, it started on Monday, September the 7th, and ended on Sunday, September the 13th. So this week, we'll take our sites of the day from CSS Design Awards that you can see right here. And let's start with day 1. So that's going to be the Unit Studio website. Obviously, I think it's from Russia or somewhere close. So let's take a look. So this is Unit Studio. Now, I don't know what you think, but I like it when it starts like that. I mean, this is beautiful, in my opinion. Of course, you're entitled to a different opinion, but please let me know in the comments what you think. I mean, the first impression you got when you saw that layout here. So I like the colors are popping from the picture. And I also like the fact that even though it seems to be in Russian, which I don't understand. I don't understand Russian, but and I don't understand the writing. But right out of the bat, I can see some containers, some square meters. I see the container here, so it kind of makes sense that they're selling home containers or something like that. So if I start scrolling, it's really minimal, extremely minimal actually, but I love the font. And let's take a look at another page. So I love that split layout. And once again, the choice of the colors within the picture and the treatment of the picture makes it really nice and a nice contrast with the minimal right panel here with just one word and with a bold font, nice font actually. So if I start scrolling, I like how minimal it is. If you know anything about my channel, you know that I love minimalism. And if I keep on scrolling, as you can see, I have like the blueprint. So I'm wondering, do they sell the containers or they sell furniture? But still, at least I know which industry I'm in, and that's really good. Actually, that's a good exercise because when you don't understand the language, but you kind of understand what the website is about, it means that the web designer has done a really good job. So once again, very minimal, but very, very clean. Let's click on one of these. 15, 30 square meters. So I think it's the whole container. And I love that layout. Once again, very simple, subtle colors, and then the red that pops. Beautiful. Now let's take a look at the mobile version. So the mobile version is just as clean as the rest, really beautiful. We see the navigation here. I like the navigation. It's full screen and the words are big enough. I mean, the items are big enough. So if you have big fingers, it's going to be easy to click on any element. I had to find my way through. So this is the close button, but let's move on to, I don't know, this one, this item. I don't know what it is. Okay, I think it's the same page we saw earlier on, but like just like on the desktop version, really clean. And all in all, I'm really impressed with the simplicity and the very good design of this website. Okay, next is Craig Reynolds. So this is Craig Reynolds' website. It says New York City 2020, so I guess it's a website from the US. So right out of the bat, this really screams Trends 2020. I don't know if you saw my web design trends video for 2020, and as you can see on this website, all the elements are there. So we have the gigantic font, we have some mouse cursor elements. Actually, you can see the pictures here. Now we'll talk about whether or not I like this in a moment, but in terms of implementing the trends, the designer did a good job. Here we have some rotating logo, some moving items, and like I said, it's really gigantic. Everything is bold. I think there are several fonts on the page, And basically that's trends 2020. Now, do I like that? Honestly, I don't like those trends, and I'm looking forward to the next year or maybe the year after. I don't know. I'm looking forward for those trends to go. But as I always say, I'm not saying that the designer is bad. Obviously, they wouldn't have won an award if they were. I'm just saying that I don't like the trend, but the trend was well implemented. So if you move on to the next page, and actually let me go back. So when I move the mouse, you see all the various pictures. Personally, that's making me dizzy. I don't know how you feel about that, but I kind of don't like it too much. Also for the experience side of things. Now, if we move on to a next page, as you can see, we have the rotating element here. And like I often say, when you have rotating element, it's gonna attract attention. And I'm not sure that on an about page, that's why you want to attract the attention. But when you start scrolling, okay, this is different. And as you can see, we have asymmetrical design. And if you know anything about me, you know that I'm not really fond of asymmetrical design, with some exceptions. So another page, this is a project page. So it starts symmetrical and then asymmetrical design once again. And why don't I like that? Well, in some cases, like I said, it works well, but here it just looks like things have been thrown on the page. But once again, this is the trend of 2020, so it's well implemented by the designer. Now let's take a look at the mobile version. So the mobile version is actually really consistent with the desktop version. So the buttons are big enough and the navigation is really clean. So that's nice. Now for the rest, some websites, when they move on to the mobile version, the asymmetrical design kind of disappears, but here they decided to keep it. In my opinion, let's say we move on to an iPhone 5, images start to getting really small. So I would, even if they kept the asymmetrical design in the desktop version, I would kind of try to make the thumbnails bigger and kind of move away from asymmetrical design, or at least make it lighter on the mobile version, especially for smaller screens, even though those tend to disappear. Day 3. So now we're going to take a look at Phil Sumi Limited, and obviously it's from Japan. Not sure, but I think it's from Japan. So let me start scrolling, but just the first image, I think it's really beautiful. I love that hero section. We have a slider, but I like the way it's implemented, and the furniture itself is beautiful. So that helps. That helps, of course. So when I start scrolling, here we have asymmetrical design, and I know I often say I don't like asymmetrical design, but here it's so classy, it's so beautiful. I really, really dig the whole atmosphere of that website. So if you need to create websites for high-end brands, for products, then going really dark or really light is a really good idea. Now let's take a look at another page. So you saw the page transition, which I found really nice. Here we have some of the trends from 2020 implemented, like the text scrolling horizontally in the background. But like I said, it's well implemented. Another trend is that bubble following the mouse cursor. But I like how clean the whole interface is. And here we go back to a more standard design. And it's really good when you want to feature logos that they all come with different sizes and shapes. So all in all, a beautiful design. Let's take a look at one more page. Yeah, just as clean. This is a product page actually. And as you can see, the furniture itself is really, really clean, really beautiful. So the website is really consistent with the products that they sell. And onto the mobile version. So the mobile version here, they also kept that asymmetrical design, but the image in the background is way bigger than the previous example that we saw. So I think it kind of works well, but here I just don't like it. This is just me. This is really personal. Asymmetrical design, I know I keep repeating that, but let me know what you think. I think it would be nicer with full screen images on the mobile version. Now the navigation is beautiful. You got some transparency and the buttons are big enough. Yeah, really, really beautiful website. Day 4, Anastasia Avenue. I think I butchered her name, so I'm really sorry for that. So let's take a look. So from the get-go, you can see this is also on par with this year's trends, so 2020 trends. We got the moving elements like everywhere. We got the big, bold, gigantic fonts. We have different fonts also. Everything moves and screams for attention. Once again, it's really, really well implemented by the designer. Probably why they got an award of the day on this website. But once again, I'm rambling at this point, but this is really not my style. So let's take a look. I like this font. I think it's really, really nice. But for the rest, I'm just going to repeat myself. But too many things, in my opinion, scream for attention. Everything is moving, as you can see here. So let's take a look at a second page. So here we got even more moving parts. Now, technically, this is good. I mean, creating something like that takes some work or a good library, but it's really well implemented. You can see the horizontal scrolling here for the text. I mean, technically, it's good to be able to implement that. Now, in terms of user experience and user interface, when too many things scream for attention, especially here, it's a bit choppy. And bear in mind, I have 32 gigs of RAM, even though I have a few tabs open, but it's a bit choppy. And probably even more for you because this video is recorded with 25 frames per second, and that's why it's not going to be as smooth as you could expect. And now to the mobile version. So there's only two elements, so there's no full screen navigation. And once again, things really represent this year's trends. Now I like it a bit better here because it's more streamlined. It's easier to understand what's going on, and especially most people that would just scan through the page, see what's in it for them, and at least on this part you can focus. But for the rest, it's really consistent with the desktop version. Day 5, Kieran Baybat portfolio. So let's take a look. So that's going to be a one-page website. So if I click on work, this is where I get. Once again, you you know what I'm going to say. That screams trends 2020. We got the bold, gigantic font. We got the moving, the never-ending moving element. When I move the mouse cursor, everything moves. Technically, very well implemented. Still not my cup of tea. I like this part when I started scrolling because the big bold font, you know, it's really impactful. But then when I start hovering and moving the mouse, it just disappears. I like that part. It's really bold, but I like how clean it is with the black background. At least you can focus on the text. Okay, the pictures are really, really nice. And the font itself, I kind of like it also. So if I click on contact, that was the last part here. I was expecting a form. I was expecting a form, but I guess you can just send an email here. Okay, now to the mobile version. So honestly, I was wondering why, even though I love negative space, white space, and minimalism, but here I kind of wonder if there was an image supposed to appear or not. But at least the good thing is that you focus on the title, so interactive design and art direction. That sets the tone, and at least you know if this is for you or not. For the rest, the font, that font is still as beautiful as on the desktop version, and well, it's really, really easy to focus on the text. And for the rest, very consistent with the desktop version. Day 6, at home. So let's take a look. So this is the home page, and as soon as you start scrolling, you notice that this is a horizontal scrolling. Once again, this is not something I'm a fan of, but not for the same reasons that I'm not a fan of asymmetrical design. I think that layout looks clean. I actually like the dual color font here and even the font itself. For the rest, we can see some of the trends from 2020, the bold gigantic font here. But the reason why I'm not too fan of horizontal scrolling is that when it comes to user interaction, user experience, people are used to scroll vertically. Now, I like new ideas and I like that people try new stuff. It's always good because we don't want to stick with just the same thing over and over and over again. But in terms of efficiency, I feel like it's easier to scan through a page when you go from top to bottom. And I've seen many people trying to implement this type of navigation. First of all, it makes me think as a user, and most of the time that's not a good idea, except when it's really artistic stuff, picture, art galleries, because when you go to an art gallery, you don't scan the paintings from top to bottom. Usually it's on a wall and you walk and you look at the painting. So it kind of makes sense. So in that perspective, if you see those pictures as paintings, then that would be nice. But actually, it's a way of scrolling through the content. So if I click on these elements, I like the transition here though, and I like the split layout. I really love split layouts. But then when I start scrolling, then once again, we have the horizontal scrolling, even though in that case, it looks like a magazine. So it kind of makes sense. And I can imagine that on a tablet also, that could be quite nice. But on a desktop, it just feels weird, in my opinion. But for the rest, I love split layouts, beautiful typography, lots of white space, minimal. I like that. And now to the mobile version. Well, the mobile version, of course, is going to be scrolled vertically, which makes more sense. And if I click on, let's say I click on this element, it's going to load actually all the various elements. It's a bit confusing for the navigation itself. Okay. Let's open the full screen nav. So elements are big enough for you to click. I'm not too fan of this font here. I actually don't like it at all. That's just personal taste. And you can actually scroll within the navigation. But all in all, there are some good elements on this website, just not too fan of the horizontal navigation. And finally, before I give the verdict, day 7, next big thing. So let's take a look. So next big thing is actually really big. And once again, this is on par with Web Design Trends 2020, bold and gigantic and asymmetrical. So first of all, I start scrolling and we see this this effect here. And I kind of like that. I think it's nice, personally. Let me know what you think. And then I love this part. So really, really clean, beautiful typography, white background, lots of white space. And then when you hover over the sections, it reveals a colored background. And then there's a slight movement. I love that. Actually, you can achieve that with jet tabs from CrocoBlock. I've actually used that in a website not too long ago. So that works really well. And then when you start scrolling, this is when asymmetrical design comes into place, but it's kind of well implemented in my opinion up to here. And then we have the last, no, it's not the last part actually. Here you can click on the elements. And what's good is when you scroll, there's a slight movement and you understand that this is clickable. So in terms of UX, I think this is really good. And then let me scroll. So here, asymmetrical design in all of its glory. Still not a fan of it, even though I love the color palette here. And yeah, I love that font. Okay, so let's move to another page. I love that. I love this type of layouts where when you have a first upper section that's really minimal with a bold text, and then you see the color contrast just beneath it. So I think that works really well. Once again, we have this effect here when we scroll, so really consistent with the rest of the design. And here we have the same design language we saw on the home page, and when we hover over the element, they move slightly, so that works well. And after a couple of pages on this website, you know what to expect, which is really good in terms of user interaction. And now onto the mobile version. So when I start scrolling, you see the same effect we saw on the desktop, which is nice. The color palette is still beautiful, and the font works really well even at a smaller screen size. And for the rest, they changed the way some of the elements that were in asymmetrical design, they really tailored it for the mobile version so it works well. So all in all, it looks really clean. Now, when it comes to the menu, I had a hard time clicking on it, opening it and closing. I have to tap several times and trying to find exactly where to tap. So that's just a minor bug that's fixable. But for the rest, the full screen navigation is really nice. And the items for the navigations are large enough for you to tap, even if you have big fingers. Now, before I tell you which one is my website of the week, please pause this video and let me know in the comments which one is your website of the week and let me know why. Why is it your website of the week? So, are you ready? The website of the week is Feel Sumi Limited, because maybe it's also due to the fact that the furniture they sell, the products themselves look beautiful, but the whole website is well implemented. And as much as I don't like asymmetrical design and some of the 2020 trends, well, they implemented those trends here with asymmetrical design and it looks just beautiful. So if I have to create an asymmetrical design, this is probably the type of website I would take inspiration from. So once again, let me know what you think. So I hope that this was a good source of inspiration for you. And if you enjoyed the video, please like it, as it really helps growing the channel. Now, if you want more inspiration and you don't want to miss the next episode, make sure you subscribe and smash the notification bell so that you don't miss anything. Oh, and by the way, if you want a killer brand identity for yourself or for your clients, I created a brand identity guidelines template that you can download on my website for free. Initially, it was made for Affinity Designer, but you can use it with Adobe Illustrator with a workaround. So if you're interested, just go to casino.com/branding. So that's it for this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. What? I forgot something? Oh yeah, it's time to invest
In your success.